Welcome to the Tech Transfer Podcast. This is Dave Brad. I'm here with Brad Moss of Enhanced AI, and we're talking about FluxPrompt. So, Brad, will you introduce yourself and tell us what FluxPrompt is?
Yeah, my name is Brad Moss, and I'm a former BYU MBA, or not former, I guess that's where I got my MBA, along with Dave.
Wait, what year was that?
It was 2012 is when I graduated, yeah. And I went from there into Amazon, and I ran some big businesses and big systems inside of Amazon. And then I got into AI a couple of years ago. I left Amazon and bought and sold a couple of businesses. And I was trying to solve some operational problems. And before this whole ChatGPT craze exploded, I was into AI because I was trying to solve some operational problems. And I was on GPT 2.5 or 3, but realized the power of AI. And so built this platform here called FluxPrompt. And what it does in short is it aggregates all the AI systems into one place. So it makes it really easy to build and configure chains of business commands, of operations, even, agents or apps within the AI. But you don't have to be an engineer. I mean, I'm a business guy. I'm like trying to build stuff for really smart business people and even dumb business people like myself, maybe. But so trying to build it so it's really easily usable, because we believe chat's great and it's really good, as everyone's seen the power of it. But for businesses and like more complex stuff, you need a different kind of a system to kind of take it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's totally what I found. And so a few weeks ago, Ben and Mortensen in my office and I posted a video about AI tools that we're using, just talking about what tech transfer offices should be doing with AI. We're on ChatGPT constantly, and we use a bunch of AI tools for other processes, videos, and things. And so then Edgar Cheney, what's his position with the company?
He's a head of product.
Head of product. So Edgar and I were at MBA school here together. We were class of 2011. We were a year ahead of you, and we've established that we did meet back then. We just didn't know each other well. But Edgar reached out to me and he said, Dave, we've totally built what you're looking for. And I've looked at, I've tried using Make, or there are various websites like God Mode and things where it's an agent running agents, but they just never quite work the way I want them to. And so Edgar reached out and said, no, this is the product that you want. So I'm going to put it up on the screen in a second here, but what would you say is unique? How is FluxPrompt different?
It's built from the ground up with AI in mind and for all the AI technologies. We have over 100 AI systems and models into the platform itself. And it's all based, it's not based to do other things. It's all AI first and prompting first and kind of allowing you to control it. So it's built AI first. And then it's also, it's, some people call it more of like a platform, almost like an operating system for all the AI systems going on. And a lot of the other tool sets and whatnot are just like solving one or two use cases or isolated to one or two spots. This is trying to make it flexible, but then easy to use when you're not an engineer, or even for engineers to build and prototype stuff way faster than they would otherwise. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what I ran into. Like, I'm never going to build my own anything. Like, I'm not going to install a GPT locally unless it's just a one-click sort of thing. I saw this and was really impressed by it. And if anyone's wondering about the relationship, this is not a BYU technology. We don't have any interest in the company. We're a happy customer over here in Tech Transfer. So let's go ahead and share the screen and I'll show you what it looks like. And bear in mind, this is a workflow that I created. So if it's amateurish or I'm doing things wrong, Brad, you can tell me about that, but I'll explain what I'm trying to do. And in fact, we should go over to the Tech Transfer website for just a second. So we have, for our technologies, what we'd like to do to make it easier for people to understand our technologies is to show them these kind of product sheets. And let me find one. We want you to be able to visually see a technology, have a mock-up of what it looks like. So this is a software one, and then have just like key points, like business level points about the technology there. So when a business person is looking at technology, if you're an entrepreneur, you can really quickly understand a technology. You don't have to read the patent or the invention disclosure or anything to get what's going on. And then you're seeing this okay, right?
Yeah. See, great.
Great. And so this is my workflow that does most of the work of creating that. And I'm going to describe this as I see it, Brad, but tell me if I'm misunderstanding anything. So when you go to set up any workflow in FluxPrompt, there's this global node here. And what you want to do is set things up So you just click run flow, and then the system does everything. And so it's getting, in this case, it's going to call the AI services 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And so you could like manually go to ChatGPT and do these 6 processes, but if you do that hundreds of times, like we're doing with technologies here, you're going to lose your mind. So instead, we have this flow that's going to do it for you. The way it starts, I have a text box here, and I have pasted content from a patent here. So this is a UAV technology, and normally I take data from invention disclosure forums. I didn't want to accidentally display something confidential, so that's why I'm going with patent language instead. If you're actually doing patents, these guys have added a patent input that you can use as well. But so I pasted some patent text in here, and it's going to come over to this. Are we calling these nodes? Are each of these things a node?
Yeah. Call them a node.
Okay, so it gives the content to the node, and you have a prompt there telling it what to do with this. So I want to summarize the technology in 800 words to get down to the essence of it. And once it's done that, it's going to send the text up here where, let's see, what am I doing here? Oh, here is where it's going to summarize it and have the 4 key selling points, because that's basically the text for the product sheet. And then over here, it's going to create a concept for an image, and then it's going to create 3 images. And then hopefully one of those will be one I actually want to use. If not, I'll just refresh it and get some more. You wouldn't have to do 3. You could do 5 or 12 or 27, whatever. But I just, 3 is usually enough to get something decent.
So that box, to be clear, that box next to it is writing the actual image prompt that you would then use to generate the image, right?
Yeah, so I've already been playing with this one. So it actually has language there. It's going to generate new language when I run it in a second. But that's telling it what image to create. So these images will go away and it'll create a new image.
For those who are not too familiar with AI, I'd say like that's the perfect use case. You're using AI to do AI things, right? Like you think a little more meta up there to implement the technology.
Yeah. And honestly, before AI, we would have had trouble coming up with cell sheets at all, because like this, I don't know, this one's pretty basic, but just try creating a compelling looking image of a laptop on your own. You'd have to be a graphic designer or something, right? So AI changed that. But we have on our website about 700 technologies. We want cell sheets, these product sheets for all of them. And so doing this 700 times is way better than manually doing it, obviously. One other thing to point out that I like about this as opposed to other services, I don't have to log into ChatGPT for every one of these. You're using the API for each of the AI services, right?
That's right.
And it's how many different APIs are you calling?
So there's about 100 AI models and systems in there. The total number of systems might be 25, like big platforms that are being called. So different APIs might be more, might be like 50.
Okay.
We're calling all sorts of stuff with this.
Yeah, and if you go in here on image creation, I'm used to Dolly, which is ChatGPT. So that's what I've got on here. But if you want to use something different, switch from OpenAI to Stability. I know some people will like it and have things they like about it. Replicate's on there too. Anyway, I'm sticking with what I know. So that's where we're at. But you can experiment with different things for different, maybe you like how a different engine handles the text, so you use them. Okay, so let's just do this and you'll see how it works. I'll click run prompt. I think I'll click, run flow. And then, so it's taking my input and it's doing step 1 here. And so we'll see text appear here in just a second. And while we're talking about this, Brad, so it's doing stuff. It's going back and forth between the AI engines. That was really fast. Images maybe will take a little longer. Error creating image. I've got to tell you, this is so perfect for a software demo. And all my time creating these, I've never once had an error creating an image. So
that's the nice thing is that sometimes the APIs come back and the thought fails, right? And the system's actually redoing it again. So that it is. It pushed it, and OpenAI came back, DALL-E 3 came back and said, hey, we don't like this prompt for some reason. They do that from time to time. And so it failed the image, and then the system automatically pushes another time, and it retried multiple times because we've seen errors like this. OpenAI will say, I'm not going to make that image for you or whatever, right? So
yeah,
our system tries to help correct some false positives.
Yeah. And the other ones are going through there. Yeah. So let's walk through and see why the image AI might not have liked it. So this is a UAV technology. It's describing its radar for UAVs. They can avoid running into each other. You can see the selling points up here: compact, lightweight, wide coverage, collision avoidance. Okay, it's what you'd want in navigating UAV. So the description that came up for the image says sleek stainless steel water bottle, features an ergonomic grip. Let's see. Why did it go with a water bottle? This is just the weirdness of AI, right?
Yeah. So here's the other interesting thing. If you go back to the model you're using, so this is another feature set. I found some models are better for some things versus the others. So you're using T4O. Try actually using well, that person's probably all right.
This step.
The second step. Let's use Anthropic. Use the Claude model.
Okay. Oh, and Claude is the best out there right now, right?
In my opinion, it is. Yeah,
that's what I should be using. Okay, so let's run that prompt again. And then, yeah, so when I redo things on these sheets, it's usually because the image concept isn't what I want. So that's actually way better. Okay, it's basically describing the product. So now these already ran, so I'm just going to rerun them.
And you can run them all at the same time, right? It's like,
oh yeah,
this is waiting for one to go and stop. So they're all triggered.
Yeah, just the parallel processing is huge, because otherwise, and I've done it, I've created these sheets the old way, where I'd be on ChatGPT, like refreshing an image. No, that was not right. Let's try again. And then after half an hour, it says you've used up all your images right now. Like, Rrr. So, okay, so let's see how we're doing. This is UAV navigation software. Let's see. So that image, okay, the UAV part's pretty good. The device is kind of odd, so we probably wouldn't use that one. But that's okay. We have options. And this, like I say, is just the weirdness of AI. I don't know. That one's kind of cool. The device, again, looks a bit large. Let's see about this one. This looks like more of a military drone. I'll have to look at this description. It's like, I guess what this is, in here, the device is like the size of a valley. So maybe I would redo that one. But there's a lot to like about this one. Like, you could just cut and use that part. But anyway, so if you didn't like them, you'd regenerate them. I already have a product sheet for this particular technology. But what I would do next is save the outputs, the text, and the image I liked. I'd put them in a folder and share them with our graphic designer. We have a graphic design student who will then put together the actual sheets. But I used to do them myself. So you could just download that, format the text on top of it, and you'd have a cell sheet. And I don't know, I haven't been timing this, but obviously you could do it in like 5 minutes if you're really motivated to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying this is awesome. I love your flow here. It's great.
Yeah. And so, and you guys keep adding bells and whistles. So one change that I know exists that I need to figure out is you can set this up to save to Google Drive or other outputs. So ideally soon I'll have a shared folder with the graphic designer. And when I run this, it'll just show up in the folder. And then maybe you can choose which of the 3 images to use, but it'll just be way faster.
And even the connection pieces, like we're hooked up to Google Sheets. So you might have a bunch of Google Sheets that actually have some of these descriptions in there of what some of the source material.
Okay.
Hook it up and then just run through all of them. Maybe you have 10 that you would just want to run through. You could hook it up through Google Sheets and set up a sequence to go through all of those.
Well, yeah. And this is giving an address for the image, right? So you could, in the sheet, you could have description in one box, image in the next box.
Yeah.
Then she could just pull them from there. Okay. So that's pretty great. So I think everyone should be doing this. Another thing that I've been doing is, let's see if I can find it. I might have put it in my other folders. Okay, there's a Google patent version of this because, like I say, you can pull from patents. But the other thing is YouTube videos. Like when we get done here, I download this episode, I upload it to YouTube, and then I paste the address in here. It's not public yet. It's a private video. Then it'll do a transcription of the video, and then it'll create for me a LinkedIn post, a title, a description, and again, a concept for an image. And in this case, maybe I'm more particular about the videos. I don't know. I have it create 5 images, and I just pick one that seems to fit the episode. So whatever. I hope you like the image on this episode. You know how I created it. So
it's gonna be great. Hopefully some UAVs, right?
Yeah, it'll be full of UAVs. But no, so we've been playing this. We signed up with you guys probably maximum a month ago, And so these are the two that I've got going that really are workflows that I would otherwise do and save me a lot of time. But what are some other things people are doing with the tool so far?
Oh, I mean, it's incredible, just the power. So a lot of people talk from a high level, oh, AI is really great, but most people just use ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is like a small, it's awesome, but it's a very small set of use cases what you can use it for. When you actually want to implement into your business and do other things, it gets really powerful what you can do. And we've seen some really crazy stuff. But let me just share, I'll share my screen real quick here. This is a marketing one, but I could go into marketing, I could go into sales, I could go into finance, operations. There's a lot of use cases when you actually apply sequencing and building and chaining things together like this, and it's extremely powerful. We've got some people who are completely transforming all of their business, who are and a process that used to take them 6 hours takes them 5 minutes, right? They built a flow that does that. But here's an interesting one. I just think this one's fun. But it shows a lot of interesting things that happen. So here's the initial global node. And what this one is it's a hot topic marketing system. So it takes a product, and this is an old colleague of mine or an old group I used to work with in London. And they're a video game publisher, and they have a game, so they publish a lot of different video games. And so they're always trying to push content, promote content. So this one has the game. What we're doing is we're pulling in the content of the game from the website. So it's all real-time content from the game. And we're saying, hey, give me a description of this game. And then what we're trying to do is called hot topic marketing, meaning like what's relevant right now. And whatever's relevant right now, let's make sure that the latest marketing is contextual. So we actually go to AI in this first step, and mine are not as clean as yours. I apologize, my flows. But so we go from here all the way to this first step. And what this first one does is it uses, for those who know, the online one called Perplexity, and that's the AI model that's, I think ChatGPT just announced their chat search. These guys have been doing it for 6 months to 8 months. So theirs is all live content. And we asked them, this is a Europe-based company, what are the most recent hot topics in Europe right now, today, about this market? And it actually gives us some information about what the hot topics are in discussion. And then we go and we actually do a Google search. So along the side here, there's a lot of different things. We have SEC data, census data, search trends, web searching, page scraping, and then APIs that can connect into any system. But this particular one is doing a Google search in the UK for what is hot today. And this is the whole link of, everything that's hot today, according to Google.
Oh, can I point out too, like you can also schedule events. You could have this set so it just does this once a day, which is not something I've done yet, but it's a great feature.
Yeah. So what this does is every day it's auto triggered at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And so the marketing person in his inbox gets a list, gets the result in his inbox every morning. But what this does is, so it looks at the latest trends, it looks at the high level trends, and then we could write the prompt right here, create 5 advertising ideas based on the following content. And so we tell them what the game is. We give this reference, all these things coming in here. Right here, it says, hey, here's information about the game to promote. And that came from their website. And then we say, here are the gaming trends to potentially include. And then we say, here are the latest, most relevant topics going on today. And we give them a whole list of all the latest topics going on in the UK. And so then the AI takes all of this and it comes up with 5 great ideas based on the latest trends. So I think Roblox was one of the trends. It's like from Roblox to Rampage. This gory brings indie carnage to the mainstream. So it's about a cat, gory cat game, I guess. But then they had a bunch of Olympic stuff in there when I've run it before, done some stuff about Simone Biles, and really fascinating stuff. And then at the end, I actually tell the AI, this is another fun thing to do, like what you were doing with the image prompting. We say, hey, AI, out of all these topics and out of this content, choose the best one. And you tell me what your favorite ad is. So we're having AI determine its favorite ad, which sometimes you want, sometimes you don't, right? But for this process, it works. And then after we have their favorite ad, we say, hey, okay, here's Facebook, create a Facebook ad, which is a different format than an Instagram ad. and then a Twitter post. And so every day they get a post that sends them an email in their inbox of, hey, here's the latest three things to post today based on the latest topics going up. And that just shows up in their inbox every morning. Well, we even generate an automated image based on the topic and based on the character. It's a cat with a sword.
Wow. And that looks great. Sometimes it comes up with really good graphics like that. Yeah. So you could do this on, competitor analysis or just kind of thing you would want to see every day. Like maybe, so I'm at BYU, there's tons of BYU news every day. Maybe I should have a weekly or a daily report of that, or at least a weekly report. Pretty great because it's going to automatically do it.
That's right. I actually have a morning report about, more serious stuff. I have a morning report that gives me information every day about, I go and scrape all the information about AI consulting out there, and it scrapes every single website, and then it summarizes all the websites, and then it gives me a summary of the summary. So I basically get a quick synopsis of all the websites, everything that's going on, and a link to anyone that I want to click to. So every morning I'm just like, hey, here's my latest news. I can go read about this curated from the latest content out there.
Yeah. So let me tell you about a couple other things I've been thinking about, and we've talked about them, or Edgar and I have briefly, is one thing I'd like to do is you can pull data from databases. And so it's possible that, we use a CRM for our outreach to people. It's possible that I could have an even larger flow where when I get a new technology, I'm not just creating a product sheet, but it's also like searching the CRM and finding out who would be most interested, like telling me who to contact. You could, depending on how much information you have in your CRM, ours is pretty basic, but a company could use data from there to actually have tailored messages for each of the people. Like, ultimately, you really got to think through every workflow you're doing at work and see, okay, how much of the grunt work can this take away?
Yeah. So this is a similar, I'll just run through this one quickly so we don't spend too much time on it, but this one actually has a lead scoring model. So this lead scoring is what everyone knows they should do, but they don't do. And basically it creates a lead score of like, hey, here are my customers. This is hooked up to a Google Sheet. And it's like everyone 35 to 44, 45 to 50. So they all get a score. And then their income, they get a score. And then it goes like where they live. So there's a whole lead scoring. And then we take data about the potential customer that came in or that's in the database. And we say, hey, give this person a score. And then based on that score, are they a low priority, high priority, mid priority? And then this is what we call a decision path. If they're a high priority, then we go and generate a very different email that will go out to them that says, hey, if you're high priority, we want to schedule an appointment with you right now or a virtual tour right now for this product. And then we send them, then we can push out that email to them based on who it is and who they come in and based on the priority that is come in. So similar to kind of what you're talking about, like this is there's some really powerful, when you start using your mind, you can come up with some really fascinating, powerful use cases.
Well, yeah, and email is actually the other big one on my mind. Like managing your inbox is just always such a challenge. It seems to get in the way of other tasks. And so for certain types of messages you get from people, you could potentially email them. I don't know if there's a forthcoming feature or if it exists now, but you could email them to FluxPrompt and then have them automatically go into some flow, right?
Yeah, you can forward their email in. Yeah, you could forward it into the system and have it automatically generated. So in the global node, it's actually interesting that this global node, every single flow has an API call. So you could hook up Zaps to all this stuff with Zapier or in any other integrated software. We have API calls to a flow. So you just pass data in however you want, really flexibly. Or inside the flow, you can do an API call, or we have this option where every flow has its own email address. So you can just send, an email to this email address, and it will take it and whatever the input body is, which we'd have to go in a little more detail to talk about that. But there's an API input. It's actually really simple. You just connect it in like any other node, and then it'll pass the body of that email through the flow and just auto-generate the whole flow for you.
Yeah, and I've got to say, because there's a trade-off between complexity of a system and ease of use, right? And when I first saw FluxPrompt, I thought, ooh, that looks like there's a learning curve. Like it looked like it could be hard to learn, but that's not been my experience at all. At least for the stuff I've done, it's very straightforward. So don't be intimidated by that. The email addresses.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, you are not the first person we've heard that from. Like every time it's like, oh, this looks a little complicated. Within within 15 to 30 minutes every time. I mean, one of our first clients was a steel manufacturing and plate company. And it's like, and they were, they're like, at first it was tough, and all of a sudden like, oh, I get it. It's easy. Once they start putting it together, and it's all just English. You're not putting in code or anything. You put stuff in English, say, I want this to happen. And AI goes and does it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I only know of one other company that kind of does this. And I tried their product before I heard of you guys. And it looked simple. Like, it was very Apple design looking. But when you got in there, you had to set up APIs individually for each thing. It was just this incredible headache and hard to use. So you want to try it out and see which it actually is. With the email thing, though, when I'm sending emails into different workflows, I think what I'll do, tell me if you see any problem with it, is we use Outlook here. So I think I'll just have a contact name for each of the different flows. So when I'm emailing, I'll just type like I'm typing to that contact, and then send the email, and then it's in the flow. So
yeah, we have auto forward of emails. Like, you could do a similar thing, but an auto forward certain emails to it, or just ones that you want to push straight in. But yeah, you that should work.
Yeah. Okay, pretty great. So like you say, before I discovered this sort of thing, I had tried God Mode and other websites where the idea is you just hand a project to the AI, and you say, develop a marketing strategy for this technology, for example, would be something I would do. And then it's supposed to use other bots and come up with a strategy. But at least state of the art for me, it seems like when you use those services, it starts formulating a strategy, and then it gets further and further from reality. So you end up with some nonsense at the end. I kind of think it makes more sense to just set out your existing workflows like this and have the AI call to each AI point along the way. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, totally. AI works. I like to say AI is like it's like my 7-year-old. Well, let's say when he was 5, right? Like my 5-year-old, I could tell him there's two main things with AI. It's like my 5-year-old, where I could tell him to go clean his room, and he's going to go clean up his Legos and come back and be like, I'm done. I'm like, no, you haven't cleaned your bed. You haven't cleaned up your clothes. So like, it does stuff if you don't give it specific instruction. And so if I say, hey, do these 3 things, he actually would go and do them and come back, and then he's done. It's great. The opposite is also true, where I could give him 30 things and be like, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. He's going to do like 5 things and be like, I don't know, I got confused. And he's going to get frustrated. So there's a balance between, like, you can't just give one command. AI is not there yet. Like, people, I think, have over embellished what it is in their minds due to, the hype and movies and what we want it to be, right? And maybe someday, but it's really not there. It's like, if you break up these tasks in smaller chunks and details, you get exactly what you want every time. It's like, there's a hallucination problem. You can be very specific, and you're like, do these 10 tasks, and it does them. And the models are getting better, where it's like, you can do 50 tasks now, right? But it may not, write your entire book for you yet, right? Or do a full marketing plan. But in addition to all those things, like, AI's has, when you're asking another person to do something, like, you got to give them details of exactly how to do it, because there's a lot of assumptions in there, right? That it's going to assume with the marketing plan, well, you want it this way or this way. But when you break things up and you actually add this kind of structure to it, and you can give it, no, this is exactly the format I want, and I want you to end like this and start like this, then it actually, AI is really good at following your constraints, but you have to kind of give them that guidance, or give it that guidance in those constraints to actually work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the closest thing I can analogize to this that I've used successfully is, I was an early adopter, I think, of If This Then That. And you mentioned Zapier too, like those sorts of services when you're kind of connecting things. That's a little piece. That's like a starting point of what we're doing here, except the difference, of course, is you're calling AI at every point. So now that I have this tool, I've done a couple flows here I've showed you that I'm happy with. We've experimented with some other things, but in our last few minutes here, like, how should I look at automation? What should I be automating? When I look at my workday, like, where do I start?
Yeah, a couple of things. So there's probably 2 big categories I would think about. One is, what takes you more than an hour to do during a day? Like, what do you spend your time on? Is there anything that takes you, anything, even not if it's one day, it's like over the week, like these 3 I do this 3 times during the week, it takes me more than an hour, right? So that's like an easy place to start. You could even ratchet that down to 30 minutes, like anything that takes you 30 minutes to an hour, like, think about that. And let's say, hey, and start going reverse engineering of, like, well, how would I do this with AI, right? Could I just ask it, or do I need a couple of steps, and start building that out? So I would think that's a pretty good threshold to start on, something that takes you or anyone else on your team 30 minutes to an hour to do. The other one is, like I said before, what are things that you know you should be doing that you don't do just because you don't have time to do, but they're good and they're really good for your business, like lead scoring that I was mentioning. Like everyone knows they should do it, but no one does it. And so usually what happens is a bunch of leads come in and the salesperson spending 30% of his time just filtering out bad leads to like find the right leads. And so like that's 30% of his time. If you just had a system that automated your lead score, your leads that are coming in and bucketed them the right way, like boom, like that's huge improvement. And that might take you, like 2 hours to build. Or maybe, it would take us probably like 15 minutes, but we're experts at the tool. But like, as you're learning the tool, like might take you an hour to build or 2 hours.
Oh yeah. And that's super helpful. Let me share the screen for one more moment here, just to show one other thing is when you're looking at the website, there are also all kinds of templates already made. So I played with some of these a little bit, like, I don't know, they're by category. So let's see, if you're in sales, we were talking about that a little bit. Am I down there? Yeah. Okay. Somehow I clicked on the wrong thing just then, but you see how it is. There are all kinds of different things like A/B test analyzer, different places to start. So if you are looking for ideas, there are some things that are pre-made for you a little bit.
Yeah. And then it's like a good framework, especially you're brand new to the whole system. Like what can you, how do you just get going, right? And those are just spots to help people start thinking about workflows and ways of building things out to just get the juices flowing.
Okay, well, good. Well, I'm so glad you guys have built this thing. Like seriously, from what was it, December 2022? Is that when ChatGPT hit?
Yeah.
We all started using it. From then on, I was just waiting for something like, it felt like we were almost there. But now it feels like I've got the tool and I just need to get to work using it and automate my things. If people want to try it out or learn more about it, what should they do?
You can hit up, so our main website for the company is enhanced.ai. But the tool set, if you want to just go straight into the tool, app.fluxprompt.ai. So that's FLUXPROMPT .ai.
Okay. No reason not to try it out. And a great product that we're enjoying, but also BYU alumni doing it. So thanks, Brad. Great having you on here as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.